expect $7.75 to trigger a major and consequential result. In fact, 71% of Americans do not expect it. That is the percentage of Americans who believe that the federal minimum wage needs to increase from $7.25 to $15 by 2024. Most fighting for an increase in minimum wage believe that because many minimum wage workers are impoverished. Is it impoverished?
Impoverished.
This shit is
It's spelled impoverished.
This shit is
Impoverished.
so
Okay, ready? Ready?
boring.
And goes up. Ready? Most people would not expect $7.75 to trigger a major consequential result. In fact, 71% of Americans do not expect it. That is the percentage of Americans who believe that the federal minimum wage needs to increase from $7.25 to $15 by 2024. Most fighting for an increase in minimum wage believe that because many minimum wage workers are impoverished, the solution would be to increase the minimum wage to an amount that people will be able to live more comfortably off of. They believe that this increase of $7.75 will raise many people's standards of living. One beneficial result of this raise would be that people working unskilled jobs that pay minimum wage, would be able to increase their income above the poverty level, which is the main goal of this increase. There is no denying that all of these benefits sound decently impactful towards minimizing poverty. These results may sound ideal, but in reality, increasing minimum wage might not help poverty at all due to certain trade-offs that firms will be forced to undertake. For example, once the minimum wage increase is mandated, firms would have no other choice but to start letting their employees go. This is because in a perfectly competitive market economy, firms demand a certain amount of labor. Because wage is a cost from a firm's perspective, and because the firm will now be forced to pay their unskilled workers more, their demand for labor plummets, resulting in many employees falling into unemployment. Although people who want an increased minimum wage believe that the increase will reduce poverty, there's a very good chance it will actually increase unemployment. Another effect that is similar to this is that firms will be unable to hire more workers due to the higher cost of labor. These both result in unemployment, a problem that parallels poverty throughout the country. These examples show effects that completely counter the goal of raising minimum wage, which is decreasing poverty. The effects thwart the benefits of raising the minimum wage. Now that I've informed you about how people believe increasing the federal minimum wage will help minimize poverty and how the increased wages' negative effects cancel out the benefits, it is important to understand all the different outcomes that are possible. One could argue that one of the main reasons unemployment is a current issue is because it is sometimes cheaper for firms to purchase capital or machines that perform the work that the employees get hired to do, making employees obsolete by completely replacing them. Increasing the minimum wage would only make this problem worse. Firms would come to the realization that hiring people is now more expensive than purchasing capital, and would make the decision to buy machines in place of paying people's wages. This would again only increase unemployment. Another topic associated with unemployment is outsourcing labor. Through outsourcing of labor, firms have the option to fire their employees in the United States and hire employees out of the country to do the same exact job for less. The incentive for firms is that through outsourcing labor, they do not have to pay as high of a wage for the employee in the other country because often the minimum wage is significantly lower in foreign countries than here in the United States. Because firms often let employees go in favor of ones they could pay less for, unemployment rises. This all ties in with increasing the minimum wage because the increase gives firms an even bigger incentive to outsource labor for cheaper rather than paying even more for someone to do the exact same job. The consequences of increasing the minimum wage do not just apply to people who are currently employed. They also apply to high schoolers like me. With one of the main goals of raising the minimum wage being to allow people to live comfortably above the poverty line, people in high school have less of an incentive to stay in school and continue working on their education in college. In short, raising the minimum wage gives high schoolers the option to live a life working a dead-end job rather than living out higher standards and striving for a higher education. Today, I discussed why people believe the federal minimum wage should be increased, how the disadvantages of increasing the minimum wage completely cancel out the supposed benefits, different outcomes if the federal minimum wage increases, and how increasing the federal minimum wage negatively affects future generations. Increasing the federal minimum wage threatens the requirement of a good education. It is important that we teach future generations to strive towards a career that they feel passionately about. In a country where over 70% of employees say they're dissatisfied with their job, we must fight to keep the excitement of